shit, I did it again. Hey creeps, Cameron Chaney here, author of Autumn Crow and Autumn Crow High, and the host here on Library Macabre. Today we're going to be talking about all of the newer adult horror books that I have bought in the past year or so while I've been on my hiatus. Like I have said in other hauls, I accumulated a ton of books on my hiatus and I've not filmed a book haul in over a year, so there's a lot to catch up on, and that's what I've been trying to do. So I have a ton of books here that I need to haul eventually here on this channel, including all of my adult books that we're going to be talking about really soon over here out of frame because I don't want to spoil what I got. Sorry, Tony the vampire is not in the video. I couldn't fit him in the frame, but I did want to put Maurice in here. Where are you, Maurice? This is Maurice. Say hi to the people. He's not very talkative. He's kind of a diva, honestly. Anyway, we're going to talk about some books. All right, so I went to Hound, which is a horror convention in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was able to meet a couple of authors and get some books signed. And a couple of the books that I bought were from Michael West. So here we have books 1 and 2 in the Legacy of the Gods series. So book 1 is called Poseidon's Children, which has a great cover, very reminiscent of course, the poster art for The Evil Dead. And then here we have the second book, which is called Hades' Disciples. Not quite as good a cover as this one, I have to say. I much prefer this one. I really don't know what's going on with this one. It still has me intrigued though, so I'm excited to read these. I believe these are about the old gods being kind of angry that we aren't worshiping them anymore, and now they're wreaking havoc on Earth. Also at Hound, I met John Everson, and I got his latest book, which is called 5 Deaths for 7 Songbirds. I believe this is a giallo slasher that is centered around music, so looks very interesting. I was able to meet John, and he signed this for me. And I also brought some of my vintage horror paperbacks from him, and he signed those for me as well. Very, very nice guy. So thank you, John. I got a couple of books from my dad for my birthday. So he grabbed me Cirque Berserk. This is by Jessica Guess. It is a slasher book set at a carnival. I was very excited to get this. I've not read this yet, but I want to read this summer because it looks like a good summer kind of read, if you ask me. He also got me Terror Mannequin, which looks freaking insane. Look at this. Just look at the cover. I love a good creepy mannequin story, and this looks like it's got mannequins and creepy dolls and all kinds of weird evil toys. Terror Mannequin takes place on Halloween, and I guess it's about a couple of kids who do like a reverse trick-or-treat, where instead of going door to door and taking candy, they're giving candy, and then they run into some trouble at some kind of abandoned toy park or something. Next we have K-Block by T.G. Frost. This was sent to me for review, and I've not really been accepting books for review. This was sent to me a while ago. I still need to read this, but it takes place out of prison. This is about a guy named Marks, who is a veteran prisoner, and he's being transferred to a new facility, and something's going on at this facility. And it says here, his nightmares are being harvested. I don't know what that means, but it sounds very interesting. So thank you to T.G. Frost for sending this to me. Curious to give this one a read. And of course, because I am a big Darcy Coates fan, I grabbed her latest releases. So here we have The Ravenous Dead, which is the second book in the Gravekeeper trilogy. I believe it's a trilogy. It might be more than that. I'm just gonna say it's a series. And I read the first book, which was called The Whispering Dead, and I loved it. It was my introduction to Darcy Coates. Really enjoyed that book. I have a review on the channel, so I'll post that up there if you want to go check it out. Very excited to read the second book, The Ravenous Dead. And then I also picked up The Haunting of Lee Harker, which I have started reading. I'm a little more than halfway through, and I'm really enjoying this. It's a little bit slow for me, but overall I'm liking the story about, you know what? I shouldn't even talk about what it's about because it's got a big twist about halfway through, and I don't want to spoil that. So just go into it blind. From the awesome R. St. Clair, we have Women in Trouble, which is a short story collection all about women in trouble. This is a short story collection full of horror stories, and I've heard really great things about this. I've not read it yet, but I love Regina St. Clair. Her channel is awesome. She has a really great booktube channel talking about horror books. Of course, I also love Batilda, who also runs the channel. Can't forget Batilda. From Ghoulish Books, we have Below by Laurel Hightower. I know this is about the Mothman. Say no more. I'm there. I love the Mothman. One of my favorite cryptids ever. It's a very short little novella and a very excited to read this. So I know my friend Kelsey from Slime and Slashers is going to be doing a reading vlog all about the Mothman, and I kind of want to do it along with her. I have quite a few different Mothman books that I can choose from, and this is definitely going to be one of those. And I think she's also going to be reading this one. So Kelsey, great idea. I might join you. All right, these are pretty cool. So there is a local horror personality. His name is Henrik Kuto. Henrik, if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, I'm sorry. But he is really, really cool. He hosts a lot of horror movie marathons in my city or surrounding area. He's really, really cool. And he got a hold of me and was like, hey, I love your channel. And I'm like, hey, I love everything you do. And he was like, hey, do you want to read these books that I helped produce? And I was like, yes. So he sent me the first 2 books in the Babysitter Massacre series. So we have Daddy's Little Killer and Family Splatters, which these look like, you know, your standard 80s slasher films, really trashy and sleazy. And I'm very excited to read them. So he said these are like Fear Street books, but a little edgier, a lot more blood and gore and sex and violence and all of that stuff. So yeah, we'll give these a shot. Thank you so much, Henrik. I really appreciate you sending these. Every year, Flame Tree Press does a giant 4th of July sale. So last year in 2021, I took advantage of their sale. All of their hardcovers were $5 each. So I grabbed some of the ones that I was most excited for. Misfits by Hunter Shea. Very eager to check out some of Hunter Shea's books, and I've heard really good things about this one. Hunter Shea writes a lot of books about cryptids. He does creature features. He did one called Slash recently, which was a slasher. This one takes place in the 90s, and I think it's more of a revenge story. I also picked up Hearthstone Cottage by Fraser Lee. A terrifying truth dwells within. This sounds to me more like a haunted house kind of book. I love a good haunted house story, so I picked it up for that reason. Don't know too much more about it, but looks cool. If you've read it, let me know what you thought. By D.W. Gillespie, we have One by One. Alice must unlock the grim mystery of the house before she becomes the next victim. So this sounds kind of like a haunted house kind of thing. I'm not totally sure about that. It says a strange presence seems to be guiding Alice towards the awful truth. The Easton family has just moved into a beautiful old house, and Alice, the youngest, is excited to explore the new place. But soon, members of Alice's family disappear, and the grim mystery of the house begins to unfold. Don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's like a ghostly kind of thing. We'll have to wait and see, but it sounds interesting. Next is another Lovecraftian kind of story. We have Sins of the Father by J.G. Faherty. This sounds cool. It's tentacled monsters, the undead wandering the streets of this fog-blanketed town. And also, just a reminder, $5 for these, and they're hardcovers. Can't beat it. Here we have a Tim Wagner. I've been picking up a lot of Tim Wagner's books, and I still haven't read them, but I have every intention of doing so. This is called The Forever House. This is about some kind of demon creatures, I believe, who capture people and bring them into the Forever House so they can slowly drain them of their life. And I believe this is the final of the Flame Tree Press books. Here we have We Are Monsters by Brian Kirk. The apocalypse has come to the Sugar Hill Mental Asylum. Now, I'm not a big fan of apocalypse stories, so I was a little bit on the fence about this one, but I like the idea of whatever is going on in the world is happening at this asylum. I felt like this could be pretty interesting, and hopefully it won't have a lot of the tropes of apocalyptic books that I tend not to like. So yeah, We Are Monsters by Brian Kirk. Next up, we have a trilogy of books that was sent to me by a patron. This is the Mollycant Mysteries. I don't know if there are more books. It looks like there's just 3 to my eyes because I have them here, but there might be more. So this is kind of a Victorian mashup of Sherlock Holmes and Penny Dreadfuls and horror. Each of these books seems to be very episodic, having multiple different mysteries involved. I did not know these were coming to me. They were kind of a surprise, and I was really excited because it was a whole trilogy of books, and they all look really, really cool and very nice together on the shelf. I like the uniformity there. I ordered this one around Christmas time because I saw it was on sale for like $7, and I was kind of intrigued. This is Christmas Evil by Mark Lestrange. This includes 19 holiday-themed horror stories. I love Christmas horror. and the cover really captured my interest, obviously. I love a good creepy Santa, and this was, like I said, only $7 for the hardcover, so I snatched it up. Of course, I had to pick this one up and support our very own. So this is Welcome Descent by Cam Wolf. Enjoy the climb, beware the fall. Cam Wolf has a couple of YouTube channels, including a booktube channel. I've been watching him for quite a long while, and when I saw that he had written a book, I had to buy it. So I was very torn between getting the hardcover edition or the mass market paperback, and eventually I decided to go with the hardcover, because you can't beat a good hardcover. Here's a newer horror book that I found at the Dollar Book Swap for only $1. It's a first edition hardcover. This is The Supernaturals by David L. Coleman. This was published in 2016, and it takes place on Halloween night. A bunch of paranormal investigators are going to this house to see if there's any truth behind its hauntings. I don't need to know anything else. That sold me. I'm all there for it. I also had to snatch up some Creeps magazines, as well as the latest from the company, which is called Shudder. So Warrant Publications is kind of a throwback company to magazines from the 70s, like Creepy and Eerie. The Creeps magazine was kind of a way to revive those illustrated comic magazines. They're very much like Tales from the Crypt, black and white comics filled with atmosphere, and I loved The Creeps. Such a great magazine, and unfortunately there was a bit of a lawsuit from the original owners of Creepy and Eerie, and they ended up having to put The Creeps in the can, but they came back with Shudder, which is a new magazine that's pretty much the same thing, just a new title. So I grabbed that up, and then because these were going to go out of print, I decided to buy a handful of the Creeps magazines that I was missing. And also at the Dollar Book Swap, I saw that they had one of their Vampirus Carmilla comics, so I grabbed that up for $1. They did have their sale going on the Creeps magazines. Unfortunately, it's no more. I really wanted to go back and order the other ones that I was missing, and I kind of forgot about it, and I think that ended in May, and now there are no more available. So it kind of sucks. If I ever want to collect the other ones, I'm going to have to look on eBay. Speaking of magazines, of course, Fangoria. I am subscribed to Fangoria, so of course I have my latest issue. Of course, by the time you see this, I'm sure there'll be a couple more issues out. So this is issue number 15, has Jenny Ortega from the movie X. Here we have a couple more gifts that were given to me for my birthday. We have Ad Nauseam 2, Newsprint Nightmares from the 1990s and 2000s by Michael Gingold. Now I have Ad Nauseam 1, which basically collects a whole bunch of newspaper ads for horror films throughout the 80s, I believe. And then this one, of course, covers the 90s and the 2000s. And we're going to end on a banger, because this is another gift. This is the Midnight Mass Art of Horror book. And this is the signed limited edition, slipcased edition. I love Midnight Mass. It's one of my new favorite shows ever. So when this came in the mail, I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, this of course is based off the series by Mike Flanagan. It is signed by Mike Flanagan himself. It is number 75 of 300. And this just goes over the production of Midnight Mass. Just a really, really beautiful book. Love it, love it. This is definitely one of my prized possessions now. And that is gonna do it for this haul, creeps. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, please don't forget to drop a like down below and leave me a comment in the graveyard. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later, creeps.